Welcome to the show. If your pipeline doubles in one quarter, your team celebrates, your SDRs are booking meetings like crazy, and 90 days later, your CFO is quietly asking about payroll timing, you do not have a growth story. You may have a cash problem wearing a growth costume. I'm Brenda, here with Benny Fluman and Dan Mercer. And Benny, let's start right there. When does growth stop being healthy and start getting dangerous?
The dangerous moment is when activity rises faster than monetization. You see more outbound, more demos, more proposals, maybe even more signed deals, but conversion slows, implementation stretches, invoices age, collections slip. So the pipeline dashboard says green, while the bank account says something very different. In B2B, especially mid-market and enterprise, timing is the whole game. Revenue booked is not cash collected.
Right. And I'd narrow it further. Growth is not real if it stretches working capital faster than cash comes in. That's the warning. If receivables, delivery costs, commissions, maybe inventory depending on the model, if all of that expands before collection, you're funding your own optimism. I've done that. It looks impressive for about 2 quarters.
You said funding your own optimism, which is painfully specific. Are you talking about the classic gap between pipeline building and actual cash? Or something uglier?
Both. Pipeline is a story. Cash is the ending. A sales team can create a lot of motion, more outbound sequences, more SDR meetings, more stage 1 opportunities. But if SDR conversion from meeting to qualified pipeline drops, or deal velocity slows from, say, 45 days to 78, the machine is producing activity, not outcomes, and cash gets hit twice. Acquisition spend goes up now, collections come later, if they come.
This is why I keep saying GTM is infrastructure. Outbound is not just volume. It's sequencing, ICP discipline, handoff quality, close rate, onboarding readiness, pricing logic. If you push SDRs to overproduce low-fit meetings, sales looks busy, pipeline looks full, but conversion to real opportunities weakens. Then customer success gets poor-fit clients, DSO expands because those customers dispute invoices, and suddenly the issue is not marketing efficiency, it's revenue architecture failure.
So if I'm a CEO and I see more meetings, more proposals, and maybe even more ARR booked, what number tells me the celebration is premature?
One number? Time to cash. Not time to close, time to cash. From first touch to collected invoice. Walk me through that math and we can have an adult conversation.
I agree with the principle. I don't agree that's enough on its own. And I don't agree with the idea that the answer is just to look harder at the pipeline report. Because time to cash can still look acceptable while pipeline quality is deteriorating underneath. You need the chain. Outbound to SQL, SQL to pipeline, pipeline to close, close to implementation, implementation to invoice, invoice to cash. One weak link and the whole thing lies to you.
Fair. This is why finance people are such a joy at parties.
Just absolute fireworks. But that chain matters because the lag hides the damage, right? You can be growing for 6 months and still be walking into a liquidity wall.
Exactly, which is why operators need a 6-month system, not a monthly mood swing. 6 months of forward visibility on pipeline conversion, hiring pace, delivery capacity, collections, and downside scenarios. Not because forecasting is perfect, it isn't, but because by the time cash stress shows up in the bank balance, the commercial mistake already happened.
Okay, let's make this concrete. We promised real operators, not theory. Benny, give me the named examples.
Walmart first. One of the structural advantages in retail was working capital discipline, inventory turns, supplier terms, getting cash through the register before cash left the business. That's not just scale, that's operating design. Amazon took a version of that into a digital model. Customers paid fast, often immediately, while the company managed supplier timing and reinvested aggressively. Different businesses, same lesson. Growth funded by a strong cash conversion cycle behaves very differently from growth funded by hope.
And Toys R Us is the opposite lesson people remember for the wrong reason. Everyone talks strategy, brand, e-commerce pressure, all true. But when a business is already under strain, working capital tightens, flexibility disappears, and every operational weakness gets louder. Cash pressure turns strategy problems into survival problems.
The phrase you used there, cash conversion cycle. I want the plain English version. Wait, explain that again because I want to make sure I have it right. Let me try to explain it back. It's basically how long cash is trapped before it returns to you. Inventory or delivery costs go out, receivables sit there, and meanwhile, you're waiting. Is that close?
Close. The missing piece is payables. Cash conversion cycle is the time between paying out and collecting in, after accounting for inventory, receivables, and supplier payment terms. Shorter is usually better. Negative can be beautiful. Walmart and Amazon showed what operational power looks like when cash comes in before obligations go out.
Negative is the memorable part. I'm not forgetting that. A company can actually grow and have the cycle help fund that growth.
Yes, and B2B founders miss the equivalent. In services or SaaS plus services, your version isn't inventory turns, it's implementation lag, billing structure, payment terms, and collections discipline. If you sign annual contracts but bill quarterly in arrears, or let enterprise clients slide from net 30 to net 75, you are donating liquidity to your customers.
Generous. Philanthropic even.
And then, WeWork?
WeWork is a clean mismatch example. Long-term obligations, shorter-term customer commitments, high burn, aggressive growth narrative. When the capital environment changed, the timing mismatch mattered more. That's the core issue. If your cash out is fixed and your cash in is fragile, growth can accelerate the failure.
And this is where research around working capital matters. Operators across sectors have known this for years. Weak working capital discipline raises financing pressure and limits resilience. That's not abstract. When DSO rises, days sales outstanding, the average days to collect, liquidity stress follows. 10 extra collection days on a few million in receivables is not a rounding error. It can determine whether you hire, freeze, or borrow.
Grab that for me. 10 extra collection days. In a boardroom, what does that mean operationally?
It means you thought you had cash in April, and now maybe it's May or June. It means commissions are paid before invoices are collected. It means sales celebrates, finance chases, and the CEO wonders why EBITDA didn't translate into breathing room. DSO is not an accounting footnote. It's a stress signal.
So let's connect that back to GTM, because this is where teams separate things that are actually one system. If outbound pressure goes up, SDRs book more meetings, and sales starts pulling in thinner fit deals, what should an operator watch early before liquidity gets ugly?
3 early signals over the next 6 months. First, SDR conversion quality. Meetings to SQL and SQL to real pipeline by rep, by segment, by source. Second, deal velocity by stage, especially slippage after proposal. Third, collections behavior by cohort. Are the deals from one campaign, one vertical, one AE, one pricing plan paying slower or disputing more? That's where activity reveals whether it's monetizable.
And this is where AI is actually useful, not magical, useful. Feed it CRM timestamps, call notes, invoice histories, collections logs. It can flag deal slippage patterns humans miss. Deals that look active but have gone 17 days without buyer movement. Accounts with wording in emails that predicts payment delays. Segments where discounting correlates with slower collection. Early warning, not decoration.
So not AI writes my outbound sequence, but AI tells me this pipeline is rotting before the dashboard admits it.
Exactly. And if it can flag probable DSO deterioration 2 or 3 weeks early, that's valuable. Because then you tighten terms, escalate collections, slow hiring, or adjust spend before the problem becomes payroll theater.
I was going to say something softer, but no, that's right. The 6-month system should include AI assisted early warnings tied to action. If stage 3 slippage rises above threshold, inspect messaging and qualification. If DSO expands in one segment, tighten terms and change deal structure. If cash flow deterioration shows up against forecast, don't just cut marketing blindly. Reallocate toward channels with shorter time to cash and better conversion integrity.
And that's the tension Dan lived, right? Cutting marketing too early can collapse tomorrow's pipeline. But ignoring DSO and working capital can kill this quarter's oxygen.
That's the job. I'm not here to slow growth. I'm here to make sure it survives. If we can't answer cost per outcome, time to cash, and downside risk, it's not a decision yet.
That's the line to leave with. Build pipeline, yes. Push outbound, yes. But manage the 6-month system underneath it. Conversion, velocity, invoicing, collections, and early signals. Because activity does not pay salaries, cash does. If you want help building a stronger GTM and cash flow system for your company, reach out to Benny Fluman on WhatsApp or call 052-420-3043. If this episode hit a nerve, send it to the CEO, CRO, or finance lead who still thinks booked revenue equals safety. We'll see you next time on MATCH B2B Insights.